What if just one Supreme Court decision could change the outcome of future U.S. elections? In 2025, the court is about to rule on cases that could reshape voting rights, gerrymandering, and election security. These rulings won't just decide laws, they could decide America's future. Welcome back to the channel, where we break down the biggest political and legal developments shaping the future of America. Today, we're going to dive deep into the Supreme Court's role in 2025 and the decisions that could reshape elections. Whether you support the left or the right, one thing is undeniable. What happens inside the walls of the Supreme Court this year will affect every voter in the country. If you've ever wondered how a handful of judges can decide the rules of democracy, this episode is for you. Let's start with the bigger picture. 2025 is a turning point for the court. After years of heated political battles, several major cases have made their way up the chain and are now set to be decided. These cases cover voting rights, gerrymandering, election interference, and state-level control over ballots. On the surface, they may seem like technical legal issues, but in reality, they are about power. Who gets to vote? Who decides the boundaries of districts? Who certifies results when there is controversy? Each of these questions will be answered in part by the Supreme Court in the coming months. One of the most closely watched areas is voting rights. Over the past decade, states have passed dozens of laws that affect how people register, how they cast ballots, and how those ballots are counted. Some states have pushed strict voter ID laws, limited early voting, or tightened rules on mail-in ballots. Supporters say these measures are about securing elections. Critics argue they are about suppressing turnout, especially among younger and minority voters. Now, in 2025, the court is reviewing cases that could decide whether states have the right to impose these restrictions freely or whether federal oversight should step in to protect access to the ballot box. A ruling that favors broad state power could mean tighter election rules across much of the country. A ruling that leans toward voter protection could open the door for millions of additional Americans to participate in upcoming elections. Then there is the issue of election interference and certification. In the aftermath of 2020, the country witnessed fierce debates over whether states and officials had the authority to reject or question certified results. Several ongoing cases now ask the Supreme Court to clarify just how much power states, legislatures, and even individuals have in challenging an election. Depending on the outcome, future disputes over close races could either be quickly settled or spiral into chaos. Think about it: if the court says states have broader authority to question results, we could see more contested elections and more drawn-out legal battles. But if the court rules that federal certification is final, states would have far less room to maneuver, creating a stronger national standard for election integrity. Another critical issue is gerrymandering, the practice of drawing political maps in ways that favor one party over another. This has been a source of controversy for decades, but now the court has several cases on its docket that could reshape how districts are drawn. If the justices decide to limit partisan gerrymandering, states may be forced to create fairer maps, potentially shifting the balance of power in Congress. If the court allows states to continue drawing highly partisan maps, then elections could become even more polarized, with outcomes determined less by voters and more by political boundaries. In either scenario, the court's ruling will directly impact how representative democracy functions in the United States. The potential impact of these rulings cannot be overstated. A decision expanding voting rights could bring millions of new voters into play, altering the makeup of future elections. A decision narrowing federal oversight could hand states far greater control, leading to stricter rules and potentially lower turnout. On the issue of gerrymandering, a ruling to restrict partisan maps could give voters more power to shape outcomes, while the opposite would cement the influence of political insiders for years to come. These are not small questions. These are questions that will decide the future of American democracy. Now, beyond the legal details, there is also the larger debate over the role of the court itself. Critics argue that the Supreme Court has become too political, making decisions that favor one side of the aisle over the other. Supporters counter that the court is simply upholding the Constitution, no matter how controversial the outcome may be. But whichever side you agree with, the truth is clear: in 2025, the court is acting as the ultimate referee in America's most important political battles. Every ruling this year has the potential to ripple far beyond the courtroom, shaping elections, political representation, and the country's future direction. So, as we look ahead, one thing is certain: the Supreme Court's decisions in 2025 won't just be about legal technicalities. They will be about power, representation, and the future of democracy in America. Some people believe these rulings will strengthen elections by creating clear rules. Others fear they will deepen divisions and undermine trust in the system. Only time will tell which side is right. What do you think? Will the court's rulings bring stability, or will they make elections even more contentious? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. We'll keep following these cases closely and bring you the latest as the decisions come down. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and remember, democracy depends on all of us paying attention.